What's up guys? Today we're going to check out True Lies on 4K UHD. I'm not here to talk about how good or bad the movie is, I'm just going to share some thoughts on the audio and video quality. Now let's go over a few tech specs. The movie was shot on 35mm. It's got a 4K DI, supposedly. It's rated PG-13. Runtime is 141 minutes. Aspect ratio is 239:1, so it does have black bars. And the audio gets a brand new Dolby Atmos upgrade. Before we take a look at the audio and see how active this mix is, if you don't know what the Atmos viewer is, you can find a link in the video's description that tells you all about it, what it does, and where to get it. You can also find a list of all the gear that I use for these 4K reviews down there as well. Jumping over to the Atmos viewer, we can see that this is mostly locked into an 11-channel configuration, meaning 4 overhead channels and 7 lower channels. The scene that we're looking at right now is the tango scene. You can see that all 4 overheads are pretty active. If I switch over to 6 overhead channels, you can see that only the top middle speakers are active. So if you want the most overhead Atmos activity, you're going to want to go with 4 top channels. It's also mostly a static mix without objects floating in space around the room. That said, there are a handful of times where more than 11 channels does get put to good use. Here at 12 minutes 9 seconds when Arnie's on the run, you can see how the bullets travel through all the different speakers. They're coming from every direction. The interrogation at 1 hour 5 minutes throws Arnold's voice in the overhead channels while locking in Helen's voice in the center channel. I think the most immersive, probably most impressive sounding scene comes when the gun is falling down the steps at 1 hour 45. Going with 6 overheads and 4 surrounds, you can see how the bullets slowly zip throughout the different speakers, taking out the bad guys. It's not as chaotic as the other shootouts in this movie, so it's actually really easy to follow where the bullets are landing since everything is moving a bit slower. The non-action parts still get good coverage as far as ambiance, and the dialogue is always easy to hear. As for bass response, there's not much going on in the LFE channel. The Harriers have a little weight to them, and some of the explosions have a bit of kick, but mostly this is a letdown for bass. I suppose you could bump up the LFE channel about 20 dB, but you shouldn't have to do that. And thank you to Kaleidoscape for supplying me with this copy of True Lies to bring you, the home theater movie loving community, this 4K review. And thank you to my Patreon supporters for making it possible for me to purchase the same movie on 4K Blu-ray, which by the way, looks the same as the Kaleidoscape version. Now if you're tired of getting discs and you're interested in getting a Kaleidoscape, you can get one at our channel partner Dream Media. Links can be found down below in this video's description. As for video quality, these new Cameron transfers have been sent over to Park Road Productions to get the AI upscaling treatment, which means more detail that might not have been there before, less film grain, more sharpening, as well as waxy images and smooth faces. Well, I posted the question on the community section on the channel and asked which one did you think looked better, True Lies or Aliens? And most of the responses was Aliens. Now, I posted that when I was about 15 minutes into the movie, and I thought, whoa, this transfer looks amazing. Sure, there's a tiny bit of noise reduction and a little T2 waxiness, but the detail looked very natural, more so than Aliens. So I thought that anyone that said Aliens was a better looking transfer was blind. Well, after the beginning action scene at the party, which was great looking by the way, and I think still looks really natural, things took a turn for T2 territory. This scene at the headquarters is just bad. The guys look so waxy and smooth, it's almost borderline cartoony. There's several other shots of Jamie Lee Curtis where they gave her the complexion of a newborn baby. And the weird thing is, there's shots where you get this overly waxy look, and a couple frames later, everything is super detailed and really natural looking. Then it'll go back to looking like wax figurines, all within the same 5-second shot. So needless to say, this is a very, very inconsistent transfer. I don't think the DNR is as bad as T2 because there are scenes where the AI upscaling truly did wonders to the image. I thought the best shots in True Lies looked much better than they did in Aliens, because Aliens always has this overly processed, detailed feel, while True Lies didn't go overboard on the detail slider. These shots of Arnold are nearly flawless looking. If you didn't know Arnold was in his 70s, then you would think these shots were taken just a few minutes ago. But then a second later, the detail will be scrubbed away. It's a real shame. Still, I think for maybe half the movie, the AI upscaling did a fine job adding detail where detail wasn't before without going overboard, while the other half of the movie did look like plastic. Now, this movie was shot on film, and even though there are waxy shots, there's actually a very fine layer of grain that does pop out during several scenes, so they didn't totally obliterate the natural texture. Even if you do hate film grain, it's so late that you might not even know it's there. As for HDR, it's an HDR10 on the Kaleidoscope and Dolby Vision on the 4K disc. I found the colors to be on the natural side, albeit sometimes flat. The darker scenes have a cooler look with very good contrast, and shadow detail was mostly intact if the shot was in focus. Specular highlights did appear to be overcooked, blowing out bright elements like flames and reflective surfaces in either HDR10 and Dolby Vision, so I didn't see a benefit in either HDR version over the other one. Overall, this is such a mixed bag of emotions. When it's working and the transfer is working, everything looks outstanding. And when it's not, it's just downright bad. I gave Terminator 2 a 4 for its video transfer, but for this one, I do think it looks better, so I'm gonna have to go with a 5.5 for video. For audio, the bass is weak, which is too bad because the action scenes are still some of the best out there today and could really benefit from some lower extension. The good thing is the Atmos mix is really immersive, has plenty of subtle detail, and doesn't sound dated like a lot of other older soundtracks. So I'm gonna go with an 8.7 for audio. So what are your thoughts on this new True Lies 4K transfer? Leave your thoughts down below and let me know. Now, if you do want to pick up this movie, I will leave some links for it down below in this video's description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you want, you can follow us on social media, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive content or great discounts on audio and video gear, then stop by our Patreon page. Be sure to like this video if you found it useful and subscribe if you have not already. And I'll see you again in the next video.